I'm Wayne Dowdy, the manager of the History Department at the Memphis Public Library, and I'm reading from Joseph Heller's Catch-22. "That's terrible," Milo grieved, and his large brown eyes filled with tears. "That poor kid. It really is terrible." He bit his trembling lip hard, and his voice rose with emotion when he continued. "And it will get even worse if the mess halls don't agree to buy my cotton." "Yossarian, what's the matter with them? Don't they realize it's their syndicate? Don't they know they've all got a share?" "Did the dead man in my tent have a share?" Yossarian demanded caustically. "Of course he did," Milo assured him lavishly. "Everybody in the squadron has a share." "He was killed before he even got into the squadron." Milo made a deft grimace of tribulation and turned away. "I wish you'd stop picking on me about that dead man in your tent," he pleaded peevishly. "I told you I didn't have anything to do with killing him. Is it my fault that I saw this great opportunity to corner the market on Egyptian cotton and got us into all this trouble? Was I supposed to know there was going to be a glut? I didn't even know what a glut was in those days. An opportunity to corner a market doesn't come along very often, and I was pretty shrewd to grab the chance when I had it." Milo gulped back a moan as he saw 6 uniformed pallbearers lift the plain pine coffin from the ambulance and set it gently down on the ground beside the yawning gash of the freshly dug grave. "And now I can't get rid of a single penny's worth," he mourned. Yossarian was unmoved by the fustian charade of the burial ceremony and by Milo's crushing bereavement. The chaplain's voice floated up to him through the distance tenuously in an unintelligible, almost inaudible monotone, like a gaseous murmur. Yossarian could make out Major Major by his towering and lanky aloofness, and thought he recognized Major Danby mopping his brow with a handkerchief. Major Danby had not stopped shaking since his run-in with General Dreedel. There were strands of enlisted men molded in a curve around the 3 officers, as inflexible as lumps of wood, and 4 idle gravediggers in streaked fatigues lounging indifferently on spades near the shocking, incongruous heap of loose copper-red earth. As Yossarian stared, the chaplain elevated his gaze toward Yossarian beatifically, pressed his fingers down over his eyeballs in a manner of affliction, peered upward again toward Yossarian searchingly, and bowed his head, concluding what Yossarian took to be a climactic part of the funeral rite. The 4 men in fatigues lifted the coffin on slings and lowered it into the grave. Milo shuddered violently. "I can't watch it," he cried, turning away in anguish. "I just can't sit here and watch those mess halls let my syndicate die." He gnashed his teeth and shook his head with bitter woe and resentment. "If they had any loyalty, they would buy my cotton till it hurts, so that they can keep right on buying my cotton till it hurts, then hurts them some more. They would build fires and burn up their underwear and summer uniforms just to create a bigger demand. But they won't do a thing. Yossarian, try eating the rest of this chocolate-covered cotton for me. Maybe it will taste delicious now." Yossarian pushed his hand away. "Give up, Milo. People can't eat cotton." Milo's face narrowed cunningly. "It isn't really cotton," he coaxed. "I was joking. It's really cotton candy. Delicious cotton candy. Try it and see." "Now you're lying." "I never lie," Milo rejoined with proud dignity. "You're lying now." "I only lie when it's necessary," Milo explained defensively, averting his eyes for a moment and blinking his lashes winningly. "This stuff is better than cotton candy. Really it is. It's made out of real cotton." "Yossarian, you've got to help me make the men eat it. Egyptian cotton is the finest cotton in the world." "But it's indigestible," Yossarian emphasized. "It will make them sick, don't you understand? Why don't you try living on it yourself if you don't believe me?" "I did try," admitted Milo gloomingly, "and it made me sick." The graveyard was yellow as hay and green as cooked cabbage. In a little while, the chaplain stepped back, and the beige crescent of human forms began to break up sluggishly like flotsam. The men drifted without haste or sound to the vehicles parked along the side of the bumpy dirt road. With their heads down disconsolately, the chaplain, Major Major, and Major Danby moved toward their jeeps in an ostracized group, each holding himself friendlessly several feet away from the other 2. "It's all over," observed Yossarian. "It's the end," Milo agreed despondently. "There's no hope left. And all because I left them free to make their own decisions. That should teach me a lesson about discipline the next time I try something like this." "Why don't you sell your cotton to the government?" Yossarian suggested. casually as he watched the 4 men in streaked fatigues shoveling heaping bladefuls of the copper-red earth back down inside the grave. Milo vetoed the idea brusquely. "It's a matter of principle," he explained firmly. "The government has no business in business, and I would be the last person in the world to ever try to involve the government in a business of mine." "But the business of government is business," he remembered alertly and continued with elation. "Calvin Coolidge said that, and Calvin Coolidge was a president, so it must be true. And the government does have the responsibility of buying all the Egyptian cotton I've got that no one else wants so that I can make a profit, doesn't it?" Milo's face clouded almost as abruptly, and his spirits descended into a state of sad anxiety. "But how will I get the government to do it? Bribe it," Yossarian said.